Okay, so we got a 2015 Eco Diesel. We got check engine light on, and I believe the customer stated that there was a service def system message coming onto the cluster. So scan it for fault codes. We have P242C-00 exhaust gas temperature sensor circuit low, bank 1 sensor 3, and P242B-00 exhaust gas temperature sensor circuit performance, bank 1 sensor 3, P24C7-00 particulate matter sensor temperature circuit performance, excessive time to enter closed loop reductant injection control, and also diesel particulate filter regeneration frequency, and P0420, which is a catalyst efficiency, bank 1. So it's not regenning right now. And yeah, basically this system runs 4 exhaust gas temperature sensors in the exhaust. So we got some fault codes in there, right? So we're gonna take a look. There's total of 4 temperature sensors. This is number 3 that had a set of fault code for. So green connector, and then as far as wiring, it's a brown wire and then brown with a blue tracer right next to it. All of the sensor wiring runs back to this harness that jumps across the top of the transmission over to this. So for that sensor number 3, we've got our 2 pins here, 15 and 16. So that center one, and then the one just to the right of it. And then, that plugs into this connector, which then runs around over to the engine control module. So I did check resistance between the sensor to this connector, and then from this connector to the engine control module, and had less than maybe 2 milliamps, or I guess, ohms? Yeah, half an ohm. I had half an ohm. It was like 0.55. So good, nothing wrong with that. Then I have a fault for the particulate matter sensor, just performance fault, which is this guy right here. So I did end up taking it out. And you can see all of the carbon and soot that's built up on that. And that all gets inside of these holes. So that's gonna start to skew the readings and give you some performance issues. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean that all out. I've had an Eco Diesel before that just had that particulate matter performance fault, and it was super covered, and I cleaned it up and the truck was fine, and it never came back, never had an issue. I was talking to the guy, it's been running good for like the last 6 months. Now this particulate matter sensor harness runs to the front of the vehicle over here to this module right here, and on that harness connector you're gonna have a pink wire and a black wire, which is your power and your ground. Pink is power. Turn the key on, you should have battery voltage, no less than a volt under battery voltage. And then your ground, you can either ohm out your wires and check the ground to make sure it's good that way, or you can put your multimeter on voltage and stick one side on power, and then stick the other probe into the ground, and you should have battery voltage, if that makes sense. So I did that. So wiring's good for that sensor. I'm thinking the sensor's just carboned up and it needs to be cleaned out. And I'm thinking that this temperature sensor is probably at fault. What I'm gonna try to do next is I'll see if I can pull up a graph for those temp sensors and put them all to each other, and they're gonna be different because there's different temperatures with throughout the exhaust, right? But I'm looking for like something telltale, like it's glitching out, it's flatlining, or something weird's going on. So I'm gonna do that, and yeah, I'm pretty sure, I'm gonna say 95% sure that that temp sensor up there, that's number 3, is toast. So sensor up in there somewhere that's goes into, there it is there, goes in just below that elbow, and then there's another one right there just before your diesel particulate filter, and then the third one's down there. There's a fourth one, I think it might be in the particulate matter sensor. It may have a temp sensor circuit, so, but there's 4 of them anyways. So yep, that's pretty much what I found. Like I say, I'm just gonna clean that off and then graph it and graph the sensors and stuff and make sure everything's looking all right. Okay, so we did a couple test drives. Now the fault codes that were in the vehicle had a 2-trip logic. So basically you have to drive the truck, shut it off, let all the computers go to sleep, and then drive it a second time just to ensure that check engine light doesn't come back on or fault codes don't set again. So we drove it 3 times and no check engine light came back on. I was able to actually read some data on the temperature sensors, but with this scan tool, sometimes the descriptions of the sensors, like the data PIDs that you're reading, don't exactly say, like they'll give you a description, but you're not sure which sensor it is. It doesn't say sensor 1, 2, 3, or 4. It just says upstream temperature sensor or whatever. So I know there's 4 temperature sensors. Well, which one is it upstream? Is it the first one or the second one? Is it the very first upstream one? But there was only 2 temperature sensors I could read, so I don't know if I was reading the right ones or what. But we did get some data on there, and there wasn't any returning fault codes. So I'm fairly confident that that particulate matter sensor was pretty gummed up, and that was definitely causing an issue. And yeah, maybe if the fault does come back on, I would say definitely put a temperature sensor in it. So all the wiring checked out good. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.